It's just how can most women date for money when most men don't have none? And Latasha, I wanted to ask you about that. Is that a true statement and why?
Okay, so before I answer the question, Sean, the first thing I want to say is that to everybody listening, specifically to all the men listening, to the men who are members of your community, I know that the social media conversations around men, women, and money, they are so contentious. Like there is a lot of anger and there is a lot of aggravation. And I just want to be clear, I am not here to further perpetuate any of that. I come having this conversation in the spirit of partnership, in
Yes.
the spirit of growth, in the spirit of honoring men and honoring women. And just, I'm going to be speaking from a certain perspective and I can't speak for everybody. So if it resonates, allow it to resonate. If it don't, continue to do you. And that's okay with me. Okay, so I'll start there with the groundwork.
Mhm.
Now, as I address the question, the first thing, okay, this might be a little contentious. It's
Let-
pathetic. It's
let-
a
let-
pathetic question. Like, how
yeah.
are, it's like, how are women looking for men with money when men don't have money? And this is a man who said this. So I personally feel that it's disrespectful to your own gender to come out the gate starting the conversation with what they don't have. Okay. And back to Aquila's point, it's like, I want a man with money and men want money. Am I wrong or am I right? So it
You are
would seem like we on the same page. I want you to have money. You want to have money. We agree. Right. And so then the problem comes in when there is the idea that you want that women want something from you that you cannot provide. And I think that men are selling themselves short. And if that's the case, then that's where we should start. What does it take for you to be the man that you want to be, regardless of what women want, regardless of what women's requirements are? What type of man do you want to be? What type of man do you see yourself as? Bring that to the table first, and then we can start to have the conversation about what women want, but not before, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
We can just shut this whole situation down right now. Just wrap it up, put a little bow on it.
If y'all have any questions for our guests, feel free to comment. Uh, how do you find that certain financial conversations or expectations are commonly misunderstood
Uh-uh.
in dating?
What's your perspective? You're not finna just run these questions out like that, sir. Absolutely not.
Okay, well, see, there was a part that I have that I want to talk about, but I'm going to save that.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to save this.
Oh,
I'm
I'm saying you're
yeah,
gonna say your part to the end, huh?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
almost kind of, and there was a guy, Willie said, he says, I agree with you. And that's another man speaking up. Um, I do find it interesting that the guy did make the comment like, "Hey, most of y'all broke." So I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, so he must be paid then if he if he's talking down, to other men. But I was looking at some stats, and I believe I sent them to you both on USA Today. And the world we live in, the economy that we have, I believe that they were showing, I think men was at the average black man was around 51,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was it 58?
Let me
it
look up.
was one of those, I think it was 50, 51 or something like that, like the average black man, the amount of money that he made a year, the
Okay,
average.
51.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not too much different. Like the black women are making 48,000 and the black men about 52,000.
And what's
It's
the
kind
date?
of breaking even then.
What's the
Right.
date on this though? Is this accurate? Like 2024 year? It's like this was 2024.
This is 2024. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I do believe, if I can consider that his the meaning behind his post, I believe his intentions were good because you said this too when we were talking, Sean, that sometimes people regurgitate stuff that ain't even their real circumstance. So I do believe that that may be part of why he was addressing it, because there is so much dialogue around. It's no different than, a woman, than posts that are out there like, men are always talking about they want a woman that submit. Most men don't even, I mean, let me say this, a lot of men ain't even raising that in the conversation. They're really trying to see if a woman will respect them. Those are those are real experiences. Like, even when I have the ability to coach other couples, they're not talking submission. They are definitely talking respect. Are you able to hear me? Are you considering what I said? Did you do what I'm asking you to do over all the other people voices that's in your life that you also consider? And you know what I'm saying, and apply what they're saying. Does my voice hold value? So sometimes people adopt problems. So they're adopting somebody else's issue and then regurgitating it like it's their own real experience. And questions that probably trigger ideas that associate with this issue is like, well, what do you do for work? Then they might automatically assume, oh, they're asking me how much money I make. They're trying to find, what do I, you'd be surprised how many women, when they're asking that question, they're checking your creativity level. They're checking, if you're productive, if it's something you're passionate about. They want to know about your purpose. They're learning so much more in that question that's not always tied to money. The way we're wired, I believe, when it comes to being a woman, we are definitely purpose focused folk. And it ain't just about purpose being this one identity either. I wear many hats unapologetically. I juggle lots of things in my life. I'm okay with it. So if I ask you, what do you do, or what's your, I'm finding out, how did you get tied into what your work, your field of work? But some of those questions probably are triggering for some men, because they automatically associate like, oh, she's trying to find out how much I make. This is already her preconceived notion that I won't be able to do X, Y, and Z. So I think that I think, in addition to, yes, it sounds negative and I'm not dismissing that. But what I believe is sometimes, you know, the heart of the thing is still there. And I think the heart of his message is saying, as men, please stop adopting. If this ain't your story, don't apply to you. But please stop adopting this narrative that all women are just after your money, or all women are gold digging. Stop adopting and passing it on.
Of course.
We contaminating
Yep.
these conversations because of those type of statements.
I agree. And they're probably talking about a certain demographic of women, or guys. They're not talking about every day. And that's why when I sent you both the screenshot of USA Today, if you look at it, black men and women, we aren't too far off financially.
Mm-hmm.
The average, so could it have been that this, not the guy, but somebody, he was probably trying to shoot his shot at some, no shade, but the IG model or something, I don't know, or somebody trying to get flown out, I don't know, but they get shot down, and then all of a sudden they make this assumption.
Or age group.
Or age group.
Because, honey, some of these conversations over here in this good 40 world, amen.
It's a different story.
Oh, yeah, because I tell people in real life, I'm not checking if you got a car. I've never had to date a man without a car. These aren't conversations I'm having. You know what I'm saying? Like, you being able to sustain your life, never having those conversations. Like, I don't have to. I don't have to have that conversation of sustenance for you. So, but if you're talking to these red balloon popping people, and I'll let you continue.
So, Latasha, with a lot of your clients, like, do you see the financials? Is that kind of idea, the 51,000 to 48,000 men and women, or are you more a higher echelon of clients?
My one-on-one clients, they make more than that.
Yeah.
I primarily work with women, and my clients, my women clients, they tend to make a lot more than the median.
Yeah.
But I also have a community of women that I serve, and in that community, that is, typically where they fall. And with my clients who make a little bit more money, it's not uncommon for them to be with men who make less money. And they don't have a problem with it. I probably protest a little bit more than they do. And so they're very comfortable with it. And so I do think the point that the social media conversations that are out there are not necessarily indicative of what's really happening in the world. And I think the statistics about where men and women are financially just further demonstrates that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because I remember when I first relocated, when I moved from Arizona to Texas, when I first got here, like I didn't have a job. I relocated, I had my money saved, brought some money, boom, gave it to my wife. Hey, we're gonna make this work. But I went like probably like a month without a job or something. And then on top of that, the funny thing was, I was like, okay, this trash man job is position is open right now. I'm just gonna take it because I can start today. And my wife was making more money than me. I wasn't tripping. It was just the fact that I chose to work for my family until I can latch on and get something better. And that's exactly what happened. But I think when we have these conversations about, you know, a certain value of a man based on money. Like I said, I think it depends on a certain demographic of woman that he choose to deal with. I think that's kind of what it is. So dating, like how do you have that conversation about finances? Because obviously you want to know if this person is good with finances or not. Like, how does that conversation work? Or how long does it even take before you start to have those money conversations?
I'm so glad that you asked this question because I think that there are two different speeds that you want to be moving at when you are looking at, money in dating and money in relationships. Now, the first thing is you want to just be perceptive and aware about the baseline. I really do think that there is a misconception that it takes a whole lot of money to survive. And I think that that's because people are living above their means, regardless, whether they're alone or whether they're in a relationship, whether they're single, whether they're in a family, whether they have children. People are living above their means. And when we talk about, what people can live off of and what people need and how much money that is, to me, I don't think that, we're having a realistic conversation about that. But when you are dating and when you meet somebody, you just want to be paying attention to, are they hitting the baselines of what you could see yourself dealing with, right? And so I'm always just, how somebody carries themselves, how they talk, how they text me, like just basic things like that
Yeah.
tell me so much about the type of person that they are. And I'm always leading with character over cash. I want to know about your character because that's going to, you said you took a job as a trash man and your wife was making more than you. But what was at the heart of that is I'm going to be contributing something to my family. So a man that's willing to take a job and do what he has to do to be able to contribute to his family so that they have what they need. That's the type of character, ding, ding, ding. That's the type of character that you want to be associating yourself with. I remember when my boyfriend, he had lost his job for a period of time, and that hadn't happened to him in a long time. And he was like, it took everything in him to ask me to borrow some money. And I'm
Mm.
like, sure, no problem. Didn't even think twice. Give you a little extra, like it's not a thing. And the reason I could do that is because he had already demonstrated to me that he is a man with a plan. He is a man who cares about provision. So I already know I already know how this story gonna play out. He about to make it work one way or another. I'm not even worried about it. So
Yeah.
that's the first speed. Look at character over cash and trust that, there is this episode on A Different World where Whitley is talking about, she wants a wealthy man. And then she said, well, what if you have a poor man? And she's like, I'm looking for a man with character. I'm looking for a man who has wisdom. I'm looking for a man who has that type of man is never poor. So
Mm.
lead with that. The second thing that I will say is that